Good morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR, and welcome back to another video. So, Pokemon form changes have been around for quite a while now, first appearing in Generation 3 and gradually getting more intricate over time. Now, form changes of both old and new Pokemon are a widely anticipated feature with each new Pokemon game. But with so many different types of form changes, some are bound to be weirder than others. So today I'm going over some of the more obscure transformations and mechanics from the core series, spin-off games, anime, and more. Now, since I want to keep things weird, I will not be discussing the more mainstream form changes and transformations that we know a lot about, the first of which being Mega Evolution. We know how it works, it's pretty well elaborated on, and I already did an entirely separate video on it. By extension, we will also not be discussing Primal Reversion, since it's essentially Mega Evolution just with a different origin story. And lastly, Dynamax/Gigantamax, since like Mega Evolution, it's pretty mainstream and we basically know all we need to know about it. I may discuss this one further in a future video though. For starters, let's discuss a pretty basic one that I'm sure most of you are already aware of, the Bond Phenomenon. Originally, the Bond Phenomenon was a mechanic exclusive to the Pokemon anime in the form of Ash-Greninja. It was basically the writer's way of saying, hey, look, Ash has a Mega Evolution, without actually giving him a Mega Evolution. I guess it would have been too hard to write that out of the series when XY ended. The first case of the Bond Phenomenon occurred hundreds of years ago in an ancient Kalos ninja village where a Greninja that coincidentally looks just like the Ash-Greninja saved the village from an attack. We don't know much about this Greninja, why it looks the way it looks, what connection it has to Ash's Greninja, or even who its trainer was, but I suppose the most plausible theory would be that Ash's Greninja is a direct descendant of this Greninja. But we never got any further insight on whether or not this was the case. Professor Sycamore would later appear during the Kalos League arc to formally coin the term Bond Phenomenon. As a matter of fact, he's knocking at my window right now asking for royalties. According to Sycamore, the Bond Phenomenon could theoretically occur between any trainer and Pokemon so long as the trust between them is at its maximum, which really makes you wonder why there isn't an Ash Pikachu yet. It also comes with the added perks of a powered-up Water Shuriken, Ash being able to see through Greninja's eyes, and being able to feel Greninja's pain. Hey, nothing in life is free. Where this gets a bit messy is its implementation in the games, as Ash-Greninja would later be obtainable in Pokemon Sun and Moon, with it being heavily implied that this is the same Greninja that once belonged to Ash. But I'm assuming everything related to this is strictly non-canon, because that would also mean that the Greninja that appears in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is also Ash's Greninja. Man gets around, what can I say? But if I were to try and logically connect all of these occurrences, I would just say that these are all different Greninja, and it just so happens that only a very small population of Greninja have the ability to transform, and the fact that they all look like XY Ash after transforming is a pure coincidence, even though we know it's really not. Battle Bond appears to more or less just be an even rarer version of a hidden ability, at least in the context of the core series games, similar to Rockruff with Own Tempo evolving into Dusk form Lycanroc. I think that's the explanation that makes the most sense. But if the Pokemon anime confuses you as much as it confuses me, you can always go study up on Professor Silver's channel. This guy makes incredibly detailed videos about all the Pokemon belonging to main characters throughout the history of the anime, and honestly, he deserves way more exposure for it. These videos are incredibly high quality. He hasn't made a video on Ash's Greninja yet, but if I had to guess, he'll probably spill the beans on everything we need to know soon. If you're a fan of the Pokemon anime, definitely check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. Also, from the Generation 7 games, we have another short-lived transformation mechanic in the form of the Ultra Burst. This is the method by which a Duskmane or Dawnwing's Necrozma transforms into Ultra Necrozma. Basically, the only conditions is for the fused Necrozma to hold the Ultra Necrozium Z and press the big shiny button on the bottom screen. On the following turn, Ultra Necrozma will be able to perform its signature Z move, Light That Burns the Sky. I'd like to call this transformation a Z move and a toned down Mega Evolution put in one, but with a base stat total of 754, I have a lot of trouble putting Ultra Necrozma and toned down in the same sentence. With numbers like that, this easily makes Ultra Necrozma the most powerful non-Mega Evolution stat-wise. That can be owned by a person. Don't worry, we'll come back to that one later. I guess with that much raw power, it really shouldn't be a surprise that this only lasted for one game. With Z Crystals no longer being obtainable in Generation 8, it looks highly unlikely that Ultra Necrozma will ever see the light of day ever again. Did I sound too proud of that joke? I'm sorry. On one hand, this kinda sucks. I think Ultra Necrozma is a fantastic design, and I'd love it if it weren't just a temporary addition to the game, because without it, Necrozma feels a bit lackluster as a Pokemon. Okay, that's the last one, I promise. But on the other hand, I feel like keeping Ultra Necrozma just promotes the idea of slowly power creeping higher and higher every generation until eventually even Arceus feels like an underwhelming Pokemon, and having him only be present for one game makes him feel like a really big deal, like he'll be the urban legend that kids whisper about in the playground many years from now. A Pokemon so freakishly strong that it can never be allowed to exist ever again. But that's the interesting part about Ultra Burst, it's just kinda its own thing. It's not a Mega Evolution, it's not a G-Max, it's just a crazy one-time gimmick, and hey, I'm here for it. But there is one transformation even wackier than Ultra Burst in terms of sheer power, that being Eternatus's Eternamax. Unlike regular Dynamax and Gigantamax, Eternamax boosts all of Eternatus's base stats to an insanely high 1125 base stat total, more than 400 points above Arceus. Yeah, I know, my quote from a minute ago did not age well. Luckily for the sake of humanity and Showdown players everywhere, this form is not usable once Eternatus is caught, save for when it briefly transforms during the animation of its signature move, Eternabeam. There's not a ton to say about this transformation, it's really just for story purposes only, though I do find it funny how once you capture Eternatus, you essentially strip the power of Dynamax away from the creator of Dynamax. What an ironic twist of fate. Next, I'd like to move to some spin-off material to discuss an exceptionally odd mechanic. Sync. Though it's never been explicitly stated if these phenomena are tied together, there's an odd amount of transformations that occur due to Pokemon and trainer being in sync. We already touched on the Ash-Greninja bond phenomenon and how this is an example of synchronicity between trainer and Pokemon, but it's far from being the only one. In Pokken Tournament, a similar mechanic known as the Synergy Burst occurs when trainers and Pokemon fully charge their Synergy gauge through using a series of attacks. This can also trigger Mega Evolutions for Pokemon that have them, such as Charizard, Garchomp, and Mewtwo, even when the trainer appears to have no Mega Stone. At first I thought maybe the Mega Stone is attached somewhere that we can't see it, but Shadow Mega Mewtwo X shows us that it's fully possible to Mega Evolve without a trainer at all, similar to Mega Rayquaza in a way. Unlike traditional Mega Evolution though, this transformation is very short and may end before the battle itself does, implying that this is a much less stable form of the transformation. Another eerily similar mechanic known as Sync moves would later be introduced in 2019's Pokemon Masters, where after a series of turns you can choose one of your 3 sync pairs to perform one of these moves, which can again result in Mega Evolution even for trainers who don't wield a Keystone. There are some strange omissions though, as Giovanni's Mewtwo, Brock's Tyranitar, Brendan's Sceptile, and any Pokemon raised by the player are incapable of Mega Evolving. Brendan even has the Mega Bracelet and the Keystone on his arm, so we know the stones definitely don't have an influence here. It's possible this could be a case-by-case scenario for how in sync each trainer is with their Pokemon. Though, I suppose the real reason is just that Sceptile wasn't in the base game and later had to be patched in, so it's just missing its Mega Evolution. Still, it doesn't explain Tyranitar or Mewtwo not being able to Mega Evolve though. Heck, this is even the Ultra Sun Ultra Moon version of Giovanni who had a Mega Evolving Mewtwo in those games, so you got me on that one. But long before these sync mechanics and fusions were created, there was another case of it existing back in Generation 5 with the Pokemon Reburst manga. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, I saw a Jaywitz video about this 6 years ago, which, yeah, if you've ever heard of this incredibly obscure manga, it was probably through him. In a nutshell, in Pokemon Reburst, the main characters use an item known as the Burst Heart, a Pokeball-like item with a Pokemon inside, and they break it to fuse with that Pokemon. I mean, literally physically fuse, not mentally fuse like Ash-Greninja. Yeah, it's a little weird, and it didn't particularly resonate well with many people, as it remained a fairly unpopular manga for its entire run. But as far as I know, this is the earliest example of this Pokemon synced with people idea out there. If you're interested in this topic though, I'd highly recommend that old Jaywitz video. He goes into much more detail about it than I do. Just keep in mind that Burst, Sync Moves, and Ultra Burst are all separate mechanics despite their disappointingly uninspired names. And if you substitute Ultra Burst for Bond Phenomenon, it feels like you could construct a decent theory to connect all of these under one umbrella. What, you thought I was gonna do that? No, first of all, that's stupid, and secondly, I don't have that much time to think. As much as I'd love to say that this is an intricately constructed mechanic spanning several generations and spin-off series, I don't really think it is. Just make your own headcanon if you have to. But that'll do it for our strange batch of Pokemon transformations, and I have a feeling we'll probably be getting a few more in the near future. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe for more content like this, and leave a like down below. I'll see you guys next time.